At first, it was a long college search for me and my family. I discovered that UNM had Netflix, and I'm such a huge fan.
What inspired you to study film and digital media at UNM?
Absolutely. At first, it was a long college search for me and my family. I discovered that UNM had Netflix, and I'm such a huge fan. So I kind of have aspirations to eventually move up to work at Netflix. But studying at UNM was a no-brainer for me. They offered me a lot of financial support as well as just creative ambition. I seen the film department and just what they were able to provide, like camera gear wise and lighting and cinematography specifically, because that's what I love. So I just knew that UNM was just a place to be.
Can you tell us a little bit about your projects?
Yeah. So I've been filmmaking for as long as I can really tell. Since I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old, I've been making like short films or short trailers. So all of my projects are geared towards connection and kind of exploring stories that aren't usually told. So I do have like a short film that I created. It was around 2022, 2023, 2024. It took around 2, 3 years to make. And it explores a journey of a young woman, a young Black woman who is kind of struggling at her school. And it is a horror movie. It kind of like has its own fictional tale geared to it. But my stories are just centered around exposure and connection.
One of the reasons that we wanted to interview you is because you were selected as the 2025-2026 Imagine in America Joy of Giving Fellow. So what does this opportunity mean to you?
Yes, the Joy of Giving Something foundation that I was a part of meant the world to me. I wasn't aware of what it was before my honors professor mentioned it to me, Bethany. She showed it to me, and once she seen it and showed it to me, I looked online, did a whole Google search, and then I found out how amazing Imagining America is and how tailored it is to the things that I'm already doing, like connection and showing stories that aren't usually told. And that's the whole base of Imagining America, just connecting with other people who are within the arts and sharing stories. And I just found that so incredibly important to me.
How do you connect with New Mexico, with the communities here? Yes.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm not from here.
Yes, exactly.
So coming to New Mexico was difficult at first because I'm an out-of-state student. I don't have any family or relatives here. So the only thing I really could lean on was the community that was here in Albuquerque. And I found such beautiful people, such a beautiful experience, like going to Frontier for a few of their cinnamon rolls, not one, but a few. And just seeing that there's other people like me, filmmakers, creatives that are here, and it's not just me going through this experience solo. Leaning on the community has been important to me, and I found that they've done nothing but given me strength.
This fellowship supports using media to make a difference. So, how do you hope to use your skills to create impact in your community?
I think that all art is centered in community and connection in some way or some shape or some form. Um, I hope to use filmmaking and cinematography specifically to kind of create more than a connection, but to create conversation as well. I want to make sure that people are discussing. I feel like there's not a lot of discussion these days. Like even going to the movie theater, I don't even see that many people when I go. Like I want people to feel that connection physically and not just over the phone or online, though it's a beautiful resource that we have. I want in-person connection and storytelling, and that's what I hope to achieve through all my filmmaking.
What would you say to other students who want to use their creativity for social good and create those connections?
I would say do it. There is nothing stopping you. Your voice is the most powerful thing that you have. And if you don't use it, nobody will ever know what you're thinking, feeling, experiencing. And nobody's ever going through the same thing that you are exactly. So you expressing your story is the most important thing you can do in your life, no matter how old you are. I would love that people also sign up to be a JGS fellow. It was the most beautiful experience I think I've had being in college. And I've met 7 other beautiful, wonderful young women, and they have truly empowered me and shown me that art is it's not just digital media, it's physical media, it's conversation, it's so much more. And I wouldn't have been able to come here and talk about this in front of everybody today if it wasn't for them and their support and confidence in me and the confidence that my family and friends have in me as well. I think it's definitely important um, as a student, especially to share any story that you have because you're going through such a difficult period of your life, especially me being an out of state student. I feel like it's very difficult not having friends and family for a good portion of the time that you're here. You're learning, you're becoming an adult. The story that you have and the places that you're going to go and the things that you want to do are important, not only to yourself, but to your journey. And if you don't share that as a student, then I think it might be a little bit more difficult as you become an adult to maybe share those stories and to feel comfortable in expressing yourself. So I think now is the perfect time. And whenever you feel ready to do it, it's ready for you.
Do you have any recommendations for other students and for the fellowship too?
Oh, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. The fellowship is specifically for creatives. So that is anything under the sun. I do filmmaking specifically, but if you do studio art or if you make graphics, anything here is acceptable. And I think you making art that is just true to yourself is honestly the best thing I can probably say to do because you never want to uh, show a side of yourself that isn't true, or you just want to be as authentic to yourself as possible, especially with opportunities like this, because people want to hear about your authenticity and people want to hear about the things that you're doing. And most of that stuff comes from the heart, especially for us artists. So just be yourself and be authentic.
New Mexico is big into narrative, especially from the Native Americans. They have a long history of storytelling. So, have you been in contact with that? Have you learned something about that storytelling?
I think New Mexico is extremely diverse, actually, especially in Albuquerque. There's so many different communities, and they're the stories that are specifically being shown here. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing in itself. Um, like fellow filmmakers that are in my classes, that are in some classes above me, that I know that I've talked to, some of their narrative stories are rooted in their truth and their like passion and ambition to also share like their experiences in the communities that they live in and have been living in their whole life, or that their grandparents or parents were living through. And I think New Mexico, specifically Albuquerque, is such a beautiful place to do that. And wherever you find a community where you can kind of express that with that freedom, I think that is just another beautiful thing about Albuquerque. You have such freedom to explore those stories on a filmmaking and artistic level, and it's just so beautiful. I admire every single story that comes across my feed.
Could you tell us a little bit about your service project?
So as a JGS fellow, we get to host a community service project. We get to choose all the things that are connected to that. So what I've chosen to do is a storytelling workshop at local high schools in Albuquerque, and basically just go into their school and having fun with storytelling, not exactly lecture based, but making sure that kids in Albuquerque are aware that storytelling is so important and that their voice is so important. So just kind of creating space for them and making sure that they also have fun while doing it because they're kids. I would also want to have a little bit of fun with that too.
What is the reaction of the students when you go and give those workshops?
I haven't gone yet. I'm hoping for a wonderful reaction. I'm hoping for smiles and just fun and a creative environment because I know as a kid myself, I was so creative and there's so many things going through your mind as a kid and you have no bills, you have no nothing. Like you don't have to do anything but be yourself, fortunately. And I think that's just such a beautiful thing and you can build off of that a lot.
How would you encourage creativity for students or any member of the community to tell their story?
I think just being within your community and being yourself, I know that is so touche and cliche, but truly, I know that every person that I come across, I'm interested about the stories that they have to share with me. And I think that other people feel the same, even if, I'm also a little anxious and shy sometimes. But once I move past those scared feelings, like I can understand that everybody is kind of on somewhat of the same level as me and they're just as curious as I am. And that's my encourager to anybody, is that everybody is curious. And as long as you're just curious along with everybody else, you'll be perfectly fine.